I'm Dana Denha, and you're watching FYI. April brings more than just showers to Ann Arbor. Leading up to the month of foolishness, University of Michigan students work in conjunction with the public to bring over the top art, design, and straight up silliness to Main Street during Festifools.
Yeah, so Festifools is an annual tradition in Ann Arbor. It started in 2007. Mark Tucker is the founder.
Anyone can make a puppet. Anyone who wants to join can make a puppet and participate. We parade these giant puppets around the streets, and a bunch of people come and bring their kids, and the puppets interact with people, and it's a really fun time.
It is a celebration of public art and community and foolishness.
Movement is a very crucial part of almost all of the Festifools puppets. Basically, we want them to be as interactive as possible so that we can engage with the audience and everyone who's there.
We have a group of 19-ish students making these puppets in a U of M class, and they need lots of help to get them ready for Festifools. And our wonderful community comes in and paper maches and paints and helps us get us to the finish line.
This year's theme is Back to the Future.
We're reconstructing our past, present, and future through these giant puppets, and we thought that this reflective nature of this theme was great for our 20th anniversary.
It's gonna be awesome.
Don't just see it, be it. Well, once you get under a puppet, you'll never want to just watch again.
Celebrate 20 years of Festivals on April 12th at 4 p.m. on Main Street in the downtown. And don't miss your chance to illuminate the sky on April 10th at dusk during full moon. Stay tuned, and we'll be back with more in exactly 30 seconds. Ann Arbor should be on many people's travel bucket lists for its sports, entertainment, arts, and culture. And now the city is destination verified for travelers of all abilities to visit with ease.
Celebrate with you all Destination Ann Arbor being a verified Wheel of the World destination, the first in Michigan.
The Wheel the World initiative is really looking to make the process of finding a place to go as an individual or as a family easy. So if you have a child in a wheelchair or a parent or grandparent in a wheelchair, you can go to the Wheel the World website and find places that they've already evaluated for you. The Ann Arbor Hands-On Museum was one of the first companies to go through the Wheel the World evaluation process with Destination Ann Arbor. So we were really excited to host the press release about this initiative and about Ann Arbor being the first verified city with Wheel the World.
They are being inclusive and making sure their businesses are accessible for wheelchair users means a lot, and it kind of takes off the stress of having to do that research when you're traveling somewhere.
Families from all across the country and really all across the world will find Ann Arbor on Wheel the World's website, see the Ann Arbor Hands-On Museum as a verified place, and realize that their kids are welcome here, that we think of them as we make our spaces and make sure that they can come in and play and be children.
Visit wheeltheworld.com for your accessible travel needs. Questions are the first step to finding solutions to most issues, and the city is utilizing an AI virtual assistant to help with all municipal needs. Learn how to activate Ask Ann in this month's City Roundup.
The City of Ann Arbor has launched Ask Ann, a fully integrated and automated web chat assistant that helps people find information from the city 24/7. Ask Ann is built into a2gov.org, utilizing the technology behind large language models, or conversational artificial intelligence, which makes it easier for anyone to get quick answers to questions and find detailed information. Ask Ann understands and communicates proficiently in 71 different languages. To chat with Ask Ann, visit a2gov.org on a computer, tablet, or phone, and Ask Ann will appear on the bottom right section of your browser. Clicking the Ask Ann icon launches the chat window. Ask Ann also gives people the ability to message city staff if they can't get their question answered or are having difficulty. Want to know? Ask Ann.
Affordable housing in Ann Arbor is a continual topic of conversation. The city is a desirable locale for people of all income levels, but at times it seems impossible for some to find a place that supports those lacking a healthy budget. The Ann Arbor Housing Commission is on a mission to make Ann Arbor a place for all, regardless of income. Joining me is Arin Yu, planning specialist with the Ann Arbor Housing Commission. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
Can you tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got involved and wanted to be someone that supported affordable housing in Ann Arbor?
Absolutely. I am currently working as a planning specialist at the Ann Arbor Housing Commission. So I'm a member of our development team, mostly focused on new construction, acquisition, or renovation of affordable housing units here in the city of Ann Arbor. So I actually first started out at the Housing Commission as an intern while I was still a student at U of M at the Master of Urban and Regional Planning program. And affordable housing it's always been a huge part of the conversation when it comes to the urban fabric, the communities that you build. And the conversation has not gone away because the need is still very much there. And I think Ann Arbor is an incredible city in terms of the things that we've enacted here in local policy and really putting our funding behind some of these projects that just would not be feasible otherwise. So I feel very lucky to be actually trying to do this work in a city that has put a lot of support behind it.
Can you explain, what the Housing Commission has been up to these past, 5 or so years that you've been there? Because we have seen some new developments. And I feel like for a long time, we weren't seeing, you'd get like some affordable housing in buildings that already pre-existed. But now it seems like we're starting to see some new developments happening throughout the city.
Yeah, absolutely. Just as I was joining the Housing Commission around 5 years ago, that's also when the city had just enacted the affordable housing millage, which was voters passed in November 2020. So that has been a huge driver behind a lot of this new development activity that we are able to do at the Housing Commission and also support other developers doing this same work. We're certainly not the only folks trying to provide more affordable housing supply in Ann Arbor. So the affordable housing millage, we are in year 5, I believe, since it was enacted out of 20. So far, it's yielded around roughly $6 million per year for us to be utilizing towards all of this work. And also around the same time in 2019, City Council worked with the Ann Arbor Housing Commission to go through a feasibility analysis of all of the underutilized city-owned properties and determine their suitability for building affordable housing. And I know that, those sites have been talked about a lot with the community through a lot of different types of community engagement to, really ask folks what it is that they'd like to see built there. And so we've been able to take on that momentum as well. And thankfully, City Council has continued to support our work and we've been able to acquire some of those sites. And so, the first one that we have now been able to open up, Dunbar Tower, was one of such sites. So all of that has really built up over the past few years to where we are today, where we're actually opening up these projects.
I know it's interesting when you go on the Housing Commission's website. I didn't realize how many parcels that are, kind of lingering around waiting for that development. But obviously, developing something costs a lot of money.
Absolutely. And we started out, I think the analysis initially had more like 12 to 14 sites, both in the downtown and not so much in the downtown. And, over time, we've continued to look at those sites, analyze the site conditions. And so now I'd say we're still looking at prioritizing all of those city-owned sites first for new construction projects. So those are all still very much in the pipeline.
Well, you mentioned Dunbar Tower. Is it open now? Are people living there?
Yes, it is officially open for residents. We currently have almost half of the building occupied as of today here in March. So the whole building has 63 apartments. So right now we've moved in around 30.
And how do people get into these apartments? I know there's a wait list. What's the criteria to be on the list even?
Yeah, Dunbar Tower, it's a really unique project in a lot of ways. One of which is the folks that we decided we wanted to really focus our priorities on. So half of the apartments are reserved for folks who are coming out of homelessness. And so those folks we receive direct referrals from through Housing Access Washtenaw County. They are the main central intake for all homeless households here in the county. The other half of the apartments are reserved for income qualifying artists and creatives who live and work in Washtenaw County. So those folks, you income qualify by being at or below 60% of the area median income. So we are targeting a very specific income bracket for affordability. But otherwise, you can qualify as an artist or creative by just being really passionate about the art that you do. So we don't enforce people don't need to make their main source of income through their art. That is not a requirement. You can have a different job. But we go through interviews with folks and just give them a chance to really tell us about who they are as an artist. And so this is something new for the Housing Commission. This is something very new, I think, in the state of Michigan. There might be, one or two other projects that exist that I don't know of, but this is certainly a new kind of project that we are trying to do. So it's very exciting.
Oh, cool. I remember hearing that there'd be like some creative aspects of it, but I didn't fully understand how it was going to work. But like when you think about, a lot of people that are artists aren't making their income as an artist. So that like little facet of it makes it so much better because, you can't be like, oh, my day job, I'm an accountant and then I'm an artist over here or whatever it might be. So I like that idea that because most artists are struggling. If you want to just be an artist and sell your art, it's not the easiest way to survive.
Absolutely. And, we every year here in Ann Arbor, we have our huge successful art fair. We have our Sunday artisans markets. And, the reality is that most of those vendors at these events cannot afford to live in the city in which they're, really valued and really contributing to. So we thought, or when we put out an RFP for a co-developer, it was actually Avalon Housing who brought up this proposal to bring in income qualified artists and creatives as a priority population for affordable housing here in the city.
So when you have Dunbar Tower, for instance, is the rent set at a certain rate, and then can it be raised over time? How does it work?
So for the folks exiting homelessness, those apartments actually all come with a project-based voucher. So that is a housing subsidy, which means that each of those folks are only paying 30% of their monthly income towards their rent. So it's based on their household income. And it could be zero if they make zero income. And the rest is subsidized through that voucher. The artist side, our rents are set between $650 to $900. And all of those are one-bedroom apartments. So we set them at a very affordable rate. And it is only meant to cover like our operating costs, being a nonprofit affordable housing developer, that is how we set our rents. And so it could change over time as, if operating costs change over time, but that would be the only reason why.
Yeah, I mean, it's very reasonable for this area. Totally. Um, now that Dunbar Tower is complete, there was a lot of talk when the groundbreaking was happening about how important this area is to the African American community. Were you guys able to do something extra when creating Dunbar Tower to celebrate that African American community, that business-owned community that was once there and thriving, and now bringing Dunbar Tower back?
Yes. Throughout the process of creating this building, from the very beginning when it was just concepts and, a rough site plan, we involved a group from the former West Side neighborhood. They're known as the Community Leadership Council, and so they represent this multi-generational group of current and former residents of that neighborhood. And, most of them themselves are artists or entrepreneurs, so they're very involved in the community. And we have been working very closely with them for another very special component of this Dunbar Tower project, which is a public community space on the first floor. So that is still undergoing construction, but when it is open, that is very much the purpose of that space, is to commemorate and celebrate all of that neighborhood history and to bring back, the presence of that neighborhood, which unfortunately is very hard to find now when you walk down Catherine Street. And so they have really been guiding the vision of what we're going to do there, as well as, they also helped us name the building. So the building Dunbar Tower, the name comes from the former Dunbar Community Center, which was very much a pillar in their community, for community organizing, activities, just celebrating, they did so many things at that place. And again, it's no longer here, but Paul Laurence Dunbar was also, a really celebrated African American poet. So I think it's really fantastic to have all of that legacy running through our building. And in addition to that, we have also hired 7 local artists to add artwork to the building. So there will be murals and plaques and a new building sign, all of which, are coming to be installed over the next few months to, again, just really add to that character of the whole building.
How exciting. You need art in there when you have all these creatives there. You can't lack art when it's this creative building, right? Can you talk about like the specs of the building? Is it a laundry on site? What new appliances, all the great stuff that people want in a new build?
Yeah, it's a fantastic building. I gotta say, I would love to live there. Yeah, it's an all-electric building. So it is heated and cooled with an underground geothermal system, and there's heat
Exciting.
pumps in each unit. And so, yeah, that's another, again, cool, unique aspect of this whole development. But we have, 2 different large community spaces for the residents themselves to use on the first and the sixth floor. There is a laundry room. There's also a room that we are preparing to be a medical clinic so that a physician can come to the building and see folks on site and provide services that way. We also have a bike storage room. We have 2 electric vehicles that we purchased, the Housing Commission purchased, and they are for residents to use. So they can rent them out at a rate of $5 an hour, to go grocery shopping, just use, to go see someone, just so that you don't have to own a car downtown. And the building itself, it has a covered parking area that actually has public parking. So it's not open and operational yet, but later this summer, it'll actually be available for the public to use.
Arin, I think we should both move in there. This place sounds amazing. Sounds so good. Like too good to be true, but it is true.
Yeah, it's a gorgeous building.
Um, and that's so exciting for everyone. And even that like geothermal aspect and being able to like actually like know what geothermal feels like and how it works and like that's sort of the future. It's so cool. So cool.
Yeah, really exciting.
We just heard yesterday at the city council meeting on Monday that, there's going to be more funding for another development on Fifth Avenue. Can you talk about this? And you kind of sort of mentioned the funding earlier, but it's takes time and then you have to get approved for city council for funding of multiple different places, developments, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. So while we've been going vertical with Dunbar Tower and it's been in construction, we've also been in a pre-development phase with 350 South Fifth. This is the large parking lot over by the Blake Transit Center. So this project is also very much in close coordination and partnership with our transit authority at the Blake Transit, the AAATA, as well as our downtown development authority, since they are currently redesigning Fourth Avenue and transforming that whole streetscape. So the 350 South Fifth project, the plan is to bring 330 all affordable housing units to that lot in a high-rise building. So yes, earlier this week, City Council approved the sale of 35 million in bond financing to support this project. They have all previously issued bonds for the Dunbar Tower project as well. There were $9 million in bond financing issued for that, backed by future affordable housing millage dollars, which is also something new that has rarely been done. So the city has continued to really show a lot of support by introducing these new bond financing mechanisms and weaving them in to support the affordable housing projects because, as you mentioned, they are not only complicated, but it is the nature of affordable housing projects where you need to pull together all this different financing upfront at the beginning in order to make the project happen.
350 units, that's a lot. How many, do you currently know how many people are on that wait list to get affordable housing in Ann Arbor?
When we have not opened our housing commission waitlist in a few years, and the last time we did, I mean, there were thousands of applicants. Most of the time, most of our affordable housing units that we currently own and manage have those project-based voucher subsidies that come with them. And so those households are again under a very specific income bracket. And we are always targeting, the folks who are exiting homelessness or have disabilities and are just finding really difficult times finding housing. So a lot of the times our referrals are also just through Hawk Housing Access of Washtenaw County. So at any given time, I think there are thousands of folks who are ready to move into units like this. So we are hoping that a project like this can hopefully put a bit of a dent into that demand and help to continue just weaving together and bridging these resources to meet the demand.
It's really nice to hear how supportive Ann Arbor is of this because for so long we've heard about how people are priced out of Ann Arbor, they can't afford it anymore. And so to be able to bring this to people, like these lower income levels where everyone should have a chance to live in the city they want to live in, right?
Yeah, and we're excited about 350 South Fifth because of its location, to be right in the middle of downtown, next to the bus transit center, next to all of those different options and networks and community is really fantastic. So we really hope that, it's a game changer.
Yeah, it seems like it will be, but we always have to wait those couple years. How we're just about out of time. So, are there ways that we can support the Housing Commission? Is there anything we can do or anything you'd like to add?
Well, we would love to see folks at our grand opening ceremony for Dunbar Tower. We haven't done one yet in the spring, but we are going to have one later this year in the fall, to, just again celebrate with the whole community, the amazing project that we were able to make a reality. So we would love to see folks there. We loved seeing folks at our groundbreaking ceremony. And we are going to continue to just try and tell lots of different stories and keep these conversations around what affordability in our community means. One thing that we've done as part of Dunbar Tower has actually been to produce a film series, a documentary film series. And so we had a screening last year of A Letter to the West Side, which was the first documentary film we released. And we had 2 sold out screenings at Michigan Theater. And it was incredible to see everyone show up and generate a lot of buzz around those stories. So we will continue to also release more films. We hope to share more about housing and homelessness here in Washtenaw County through our next films. So please keep an eye out for that as well. And we'd love to see you there.
Well, thank you so much for being on the show. What a wonderful conversation.
Thank you so much.
For more on this and other programs, visit a2gov.org/CTN. Visit youtube.com/CTN Ann Arbor to see all that we have to offer. And remember to like, subscribe, and ring that notification. Thanks for watching and tune in next time to FYI.